Good day all and welcome. I would like to open by thanking Dr. Candace Vickers and also Heather Carey and Jesse Sennett of the Chapman University student body. I also would like to thank the esteemed members of Nishla. Thank you all for having me and allowing me to come and tell my story. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Go Panthers! I have one here, I'm wearing my Chapman University, but my wife called me this morning and said, "Did you put a nice shirt on?" I forgot. I'm Danny Jones from Brea, California. I'm 56 years old and sell real estate for a living. I work for Century 21 Discovery. At the time of my stroke, I was 50 years old. I weighed 195 pounds and worked out daily. And as far as I knew, was in excellent health. My average day was 15 hours of selling real estate. Then I got 3 hours in the gym where it helped me to unwind. I would work 3 to 6 months without a day off, and many would say that my schedule was the cause of my stroke. I have 2 black belts in 2 different Korean martial arts, Taekwondo and Kuk So Won. I was a gun enthusiast for many years. I shot target practice and worked on guns in the shop I had built in my garage. I was also a big game fisherman. I would go out to sea on fishing boats for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. I also loved big boats and fast cars. I was blessed with great athletic skills, and in high school I excelled at track and as a running back on the football team. I loved to listen to all kinds of modern music, rock, jazz, and country. I also loved to read and build an extensive library in my home, with hundreds of books, and many which were very rare and old. On July 21st, 2006, I suffered a massive stroke to the right hemisphere of my brain. It left me a hemiplegic with left neglect. I was told that the stroke was caused by endocarditis, a blood disease that I could have only contracted from a spinal fusion that I had 6 months prior to the stroke. I was never tested for mitral prolapse disease, which I had developed from a murmur I had since childhood. The stroke left me blind on the left sides of both eyes. It causes a condition called left neglect. The vision cut is straight forward and leaves me with no peripheral vision. See, this is gone. I can see this, and now it's completely out. There's no peripheral vision. Things that are not just out of my sight in that 40%, when you have left neglect, they just don't exist. The brain doesn't acknowledge that side. My eyes are fine, it's the brain that doesn't pick up the sight. At any given time, I am missing 40% of my reality. So from here, back around to here, it just doesn't exist to someone with left neglect. I remember in the hospital, the first thing I asked my nurse was if the clock over my bed was a special stroke clock, because I could only see the numbers from the right, 12 to the 6. You could have a parrot on your right shoulder and I wouldn't be able to see it standing in front of me looking in your face. The first 2 months were in and out of ICU at St. Jude Hospital. My wife and family were told I would not live through the first 3 days. They said that nobody lived through that massive of a stroke, nobody. These buddies of mine over here that came with me today for support were going to go to a mission. My pastor and my mission chair, Doug White, and Jeff Bach. They were going to go down to Mexico to do a missionary trip, but they stayed home that weekend to be with my wife when I passed away. After 2 months at St. Jude, I was transferred to Casa Colina in Pomona. I lived at Casa Colina for a year in the TCL unit. I'm sorry, the TLC unit, Transitional Living Care. They're one of the best brain injury hospitals in the world. I truly believe that the improvements that I got back after my stroke were from my time at Casa Colina. Heck, $1,800 a day, you better do something. Yeah, I'd like to pay $1,800 and 20%, $1,800 a day for a year is a lot of money. I spent the first year and a half in a hospital bed. I lost 75 pounds in the first 2 months, and the use of my bladder for the first 6 months. And it had to be catheterized every 4 hours, 24/7. Didn't matter where I was, anyway, they'd come run me down every 4 hours. I'd be watching the clock, about 5 2. I've since returned home to selling real estate, and have taken on a partner to help me in the daily operations of selling real estate. I volunteer on Mondays at the St. Jude Medical Center's Communication Recovery Group for persons with aphasia. I'm proud to serve as the host and participate in one of the groups. My father suffered a similar stroke as mine in October of last year. I spent the first 2 months with him, working with him in his early recovery. My mother passed away in December from 10 years of Alzheimer's. I held her hand the last 9 days of her life. I'm here to tell you that there are worse things than dying. Between my dad's stroke and my mom's passing, I got out of shape and recently started walking daily and getting back in the gym. I'm also planning to write 2 books in the future. Just expanded it to 3, so. I also go out a couple times a month to help with my daughter Jennifer and the grandkids. I have 3 grandkids, 1 7, 1 4, and 1 5. They're very sweet and the joy of my life. I lost quite a bit of my personality early on after my stroke, but have slowly become a lot of it. Before my stroke, I was known to laugh big and out loud often. I was in many ways larger than life. I had a zeal for life and nothing can stop me attitude. It served me well in the real estate business, maybe $1 million. In my recovery after stroke, actually it's all gone, stroke. I remember my wife asking me one time if I had lost the ability to cry, and I had for a while. I've heard it described, I think Dr. Candace Victor told me on our first meeting. And I remembered I heard it described as 2 wires that had a loose connection. I really felt empty and hollow for the first 2 or 3 years after my stroke. I've been blessed to have had my wife by my side through it all. After my stroke, I had to have open heart surgery to replace the mitral valve in my heart. It needed to be replaced due to damage caused by the endocarditis. Endocarditis ate the leaflets off my mitral valve in my heart, and a piece of that embolized in my brain. After that, I had MRSA staph infection, had to have 16 weeks of intravenous treatment to get rid of that nasty bug. Now, if you think of a sea anemone, your mitral valve, your left valve in your heart has like a sea anemone, leaflets that flutter when it exhausts the blood, and endocarditis settles in that valve and eats those leaflets up. They call it vegetative state or vegetation. A piece of that valve got loose and just was traveling around, and it stuck in my right hand frontal lobe, which caused the left me die. In the future, I'd like to get the chance to share my story of stroke awareness and prevention to as many people as I can. 1.5 million Americans will suffer debilitating stroke this year, and many of them, I've heard as many as 80% could be prevented. 4 million people live with stroke in this country. Some ways to reduce your chances of having a stroke, real easy ones are: if you smoke, quit. 1 in 5 smokers suffer a stroke in